well, that's kind of the theme I think that for their game is you don't need to have complex, complicated systems or visuals or anything, gameplay mechanics to make something fun.
Hey everyone, welcome to Cabbages and Kings, where developers talk about games and things. My name is Alex Neyman. I've been working in the game industry for about 9 or 10 years now as a game designer, and I'm joined here today by a couple of my friends, and we're going to talk about some games. So first, I'd like to introduce my friend Kevin. Kevin, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. Hi, my name is Kevin. I've also been in the game industry for about 9 years. I currently work at Blizzard on the Diablo 4 open world team.
Awesome. And also here today is a friend of mine, Lana, who I also used to work with. Lana, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself too?
Sure thing. Hello, Alex. Hello, Kevin. My name is Lana Bachynski. I worked with these fine fellas over at Blizzard Entertainment on the Heroes of the Storm team for a good long time, like 5.5 years or something like that. I'm presently a senior animator in R&D over at Riot Games.
So one of the games that a lot of us have been playing lately, and I think a lot of people actually have been playing lately, is a game called Valheim. And so Valheim, if you're not familiar with it, is a survival builder style game. Although I'll take that in a very loose term, it's almost more of like an actiony fighter builder kind of exploration game, in which you're a Norse Viking in the afterlife. It's kind of very vague as in terms of like what's actually happening. It's somewhere in the supernatural Norse mythology world, and you're kind of surviving, and you're going around and you're building things and gathering resources and fighting enemies. And that's kind of really the basic gist of what Valheim is, I think. I'm interested on your guys' take. Lana, what are your thoughts, your brief thoughts maybe on what Valheim on Valheim itself?
Valheim itself, it took me by surprise, not only because I feel like I heard nothing about it, and then I feel like it was the only thing on my Twitter timeline. But I was also surprised at how much I was taken by it because I've never gotten into Minecraft. I've never played Rust. I never played a lot of these other survival crafting style games, and I think the fact that I am so enamored with Valheim really speaks to probably obviously a tiny sample size that is probably representative of a large group of people who've been looking for an experience like this as well. My sort of high level takes are that they added like the way that the combat feels is very sort of like charmingly doink in a way, but like very fun. It feels much more sort of low pressure as compared to something like Rust in the way that they do a lot of the survival mechanics, particularly how you have to eat and how that reflects in your stats. And just being able to play something that is not Jackbox with 10 of my friends is huge after coming up on my 1 year in quarantine here, which I think that's one of the biggest things to me is being able to play with like a big group of my friends because everybody is getting into video games in a big way, even people who weren't before. And I think this is a great sort of safe starter place for that. And I love it.
There's something about this game. I think to me, it's really the sense of like mystery when I don't know what's going on because they don't really tell you. Like you fly in on a bird and it's raining and it's stormy. And I'm shivering. I'm like, oh, what's the first thing I need to do? I need to build some shelter. I need to get some wood and build some shelter. Um, but beyond that, I don't know. I chopped down some wood, some trees. Oh, look, now I can build some more, more stuff. So this sense of like, hey, discovery. I could go around basically under every rock I turn over, there's potentially something new. So that's what's really been. That's why I'm having so much fun on this game.
So obviously a lot of kind of builder style games, exploration combat style games, they have this sense of discovery. You'll see things, this isn't a builder, but it's similar, something like Breath of the Wild, where every mountain you go over, there's something new to find, there's some new discovery. You'll have a little bit of that in this game. You have a little bit of like things like Rust, where you're discovering new recipes. Though it's a little bit different than the way Rust does it, I believe. Have you guys found the discovery and like the sense of exploration to be significantly different in a game like Valheim?
It's really easy to understand. I think They make, I mean, this could be true for contemporaries as well, but to make fire, you need wood and stone to build, a little fire pit. I don't need to find flint. I don't need to find something to spark the fire. I just know I can make it, right? I can make a roof over my head with just wood. So a lot of these recipes are really simple, and that just makes getting into the game really easy.
Mm.
If that makes any sense?
Yeah,
I
totally.
don't know.
I think one of the biggest downfalls of a lot of games like this with discovery is that oftentimes you end up going to a wiki to kind of, because you feel like you have
Yeah.
to figure stuff out. What I enjoyed is it's a combination of this is just difficult enough that it feels satisfying to discover it, but also intuitive and easy enough. And there's enough context clues or hints in the game for the most part for me to kind of figure stuff out with the game. And I really enjoyed that because I haven't felt the desire to go to a wiki. Have you felt
Yeah.
similarly, Lana?
Absolutely. I think sort of the pace at which the game reveals information to you feels very natural in a way. One of the things heard a lot when I started playing Valheim is people like, "Oh, I saw you're playing Valheim. How much time did you have to spend punching a tree?" And I was like, I could feel the angst
Yeah.
for, games, games that would be colleagues, peers in the genre. And it's like, no, I spent no time punching a tree because there's a branch on the ground and there's a rock on the ground. And then I had an axe and it immediately was like, you can build an axe. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, pretty cool. Yeah. There's like, the element of like basic human understanding of like, I'm a humanoid. I'm not wearing any clothes. It says I'm cold. I probably need some clothes and a fire.
Yeah.
And then, like, as
Yep.
you organically partake in these exercises, it's like new recipes. You're like, a new recipe? What can I build now? And then you're looking, and as you unlock recipes, you're like, oh, well, this takes a different thing that I don't have yet. And so it sort of gives you like good breadcrumbs into the next sort of zone of what you'd build. Like, okay,
Yep.
I knocked down this bee's nest and now I got honey and I got a queen bee. What can I do with a queen bee? Well, that unlocked a recipe to make a hive. And now I'm getting constant honey for myself. Pretty sick. Like there seems to be always one more little thing that I could find. Even running around in that like meadows, sort of like the first area you land in, and you get an axe and you're like, sick, chopping down a tree. Pretty awesome. And then you go to chop down a different tree and you're like, this one's too hard.
Yeah.
So like you know at some
Oh wait,
point
there's something. Yeah.
I'm gonna figure out how to chop down this tree. And that's like, it feels good to know that there's something out there. There's always something, that little carrot on a stick that's sort of leading you further into the game.
One of the coolest moments is so simple. One of the coolest moments I had building was actually figuring out that, hey, if I put a roof over my head and I put a fire underneath that, there's going to be smoke.
Yeah.
How do I get the smoke out
Well,
of my roof?
won't
Like
even.
my brain is going, like trigonometry and like advanced
Yeah.
calculus. Oh, I should make a hole. But if
A
I make a
chimney.
hole, yeah, but if I make a hole and the rain comes in, my fire goes out. Big brain me goes, oh shit, oh, excuse me, oh crap, I got to put a roof, put a hole, then put another roof on top of it.
Yep.
Problem solved. That was, I was so proud of myself for figuring that out.
Yep.
But that's so beautiful about this, is that it's such a, like, as a human creature, like Lana was saying, it's intuitive, right? It's intuitive. I can add two things together and just come at a solution that actually works.
Yeah.
I think their generosity with the way that they do resources, being able to like confidently build something, like, things aren't perfect. Sometimes I go to build a wall and for some reason, like I move my wrist at the last second and build halfway through the other wall. I can just remove it. I get the resources and replace it. It's like takes a lot of pressure out of it. And the way that you do resources, like food is the same way. Like I played raft quite a bit with some pals for a while because it's, silly fun trying not to die on this raft, fighting this shark constantly. It's hilarious and weird. But how often I was like, okay, I'm literally going to die because I haven't had a glass of water is so frustrating. And the way that Valheim's like, if you don't eat, all your stats are just terrible. But you're not going to die of thirst. You're not going to die of hunger. I haven't had to drink anything yet. There's never been a time where I was like, I'm so
Yeah.
thirsty. Like, I feel like it's generous of the developers and just sort of enables you to get lost in the things that make the game fun rather than busying yourself with the parts that do feel like chores. You do the
Yeah.
chores you want to do. Cut lumber all day, but if you make me drink a glass of water, I swear to God.
Yeah.
There's a common saying at Blizzard. One of the common design ideas is like make it a bonus, and I think that this game does a good job of
yeah.
that. A lot of games will do like if you don't eat, you die, right? Or if you that's what the basically
Punishment.
that is the constant challenge you're facing all the time. This one, it focuses more on the combat, and the eating is designed to give you a bonus. And so ostensibly it actually ends up being very similar in certain situations where like, well, if I don't have food, I have like 25 hit points and no stamina, and I'm going to get crushed one shot by things out in the world if I'm in the more challenging areas of the world, right?
Mhm.
But the major thing is it's a psychological difference of I can choose to not worry about that for a while and just build my base, and I'm going to be happy and I'm going to do my thing, and I'm going to go to a safe area and just gather some trees and no big deal.
I was gonna say that's actually precisely the situation that I found myself. This is one reason why I love building, is that there was no timer for me to stop. Right, I could go and get all the lumber I need, build my beautiful two-story house with a chimney, and maybe three. I don't know. Maybe I'll go up to three
The
stories
house I'll
instead.
never have in LA.
Exactly. I'm just thinking like, wow, how much is this, plot of land worth? But millions maybe. But I don't have to worry. I don't have to, like, if I decided at the beginning, right? Everything is a resource, and so when I only have 2 or 3 pieces of meat or food, I don't have to burn that when I'm not actually doing any combat. So I'm saving it. I'm like, I don't feel any pressure to move on. So like, I agree. I agree completely. I think that's one of the best things they did with the resource management.
It's so funny. We've been talking for a while about this game, and if you weren't realizing we're talking about a game, it sounds like we're on a camping trip where we're chopping down
Yeah.
trees and we're planting crops and we're going and gathering flowers and other than you're fighting monsters occasionally, but it's funny how that our way to escape from reality, although honestly going out into the wilderness and doing stuff actually is a little bit of escape from reality for us. But
Right now.
in general, it's funny how some games we play are like chores, right? Like Stardew Valley, for example, is a game that is about being a farmer and working like a 9 to 5 farmer, well, like a 9 to 12 farmer gig. Um, and so it's weird how some of these games appeal to us, and they're actually like they're chores, they're mundane, they're things. And even sometimes I find myself like, ugh, I have to go cart 90 pounds or 90 loads of copper ore across the map, and like it's a chore. It's like, well, I guess I better do some other work beforehand so that I can go do this chore by making a path road, right? Like it's so weird, but it's fun, and I'm kind of interested. I don't even know the answers. Like, why do you guys think that like what is the psychological process we go to of why do we enjoy games sometimes that are these mundane activities?
The satisfaction of like how like the immediate gratification. I think it's a combination of the tactile experience of clicking your mouse. You get the immediate gratification of seeing the planks put up in front of you. You just place the floorboard, you just put the roof on, and that beautiful squeaky wood noise. You're like, I built this house. I just built that. Like even the path, how quickly and satisfyingly it's like all that patting down the grass noise. You're like, look at this. Yeah, I tilled that field. What? It's like it is an escape. It's the fact that you can do it in front of your friends and seeing it like from that experience of okay, people are out gathering wood for you and they come back and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we have a field now," or like, "Oh, you built us a fence." It's like the hype of doing something for somebody is more exciting than the hype I get from folding my own underwear.
And I'll say, I think one of the examples that you were using, Alex, which was carting things pulling things in your cart for copper, for example, right? I think that absolutely is a mundane task where you have to, but then to me, it's like, oh, there's danger to it because as the cart gets heavier, I move slower and I have to burn more of my resources. And there's, oh shit, no, it's nighttime now, right? It's raining now.
The
Well,
forest is
shit,
moving.
the forest is moving. Like I've got all these things. Like, oh man, I got to get this shit back home so I can actually use it. So all these little things come up and add together. Not just like I'm not just taking rocks from one place to another. I'm actually on a journey of some sort. Like, hey, I need to figure out how to not crash into this rock over here and weave left and right, and there's little moments like that that makes it I think just doesn't feel like a chore, basically, right? It's an adventure. So
Well, there's these organic experiences that happen, right? Like the developers didn't
yeah,
create this hill full of rocks that had all this stuff
yeah.
that I wanted, and then give me the cart and tell me go do this. Here's a quest for you to do. just sort of happened, and it created a moment that I think is really cool. That you don't. That's why Valheim's cool, and that's why multiplayer with these are so much more fun, because these organic experiences that you develop with people and friends is, I think, really the charm of a game like Valheim.
Hmm.
So speaking
Yeah.
of the charm of Valheim, um, the art style is pretty interesting for Valheim. I wouldn't say that it's not like super high fidelity, not incredibly like realistic, not trying to be
Hmm.
actually. And I think that
Hmm.
helps it in some ways. What do you guys think about the way the game looks or feels, or the experience visually?
It's like they chose an art style that was immediately manageable. Like you knew that the team was like, what is something that will be clearly a stylistic choice, but also easy for us to execute upon? So it seems very smart. And everything is like, the shrubs, they're not like a fleshed out, beautiful shrub. They're like cards that are affixed together so
Yeah.
that they create like a shrub. Um, and then the lighting model is beautiful. So you're looking at this beautiful sort of pixely world, but the depth of field, you see your friends fighting in the distance and they're blurred out, but then you like look up at the sky all of a sudden and there's like this crazy tree glowing and like, where am I?
Yep.
What? It's beautiful and it is mysterious. I love that word that you used earlier, mysterious and charming, and sort of sets your expectations in a way that enables you to really be comfortable there, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the only thing I'll add is the just the simplicity of everything. Well, that's kind of the theme, I think, that for their game is you don't need to have complex, complicated systems or visuals or anything, gameplay mechanics to make something fun. So I think it fits just perfectly with the game itself. And I think one of the moments I share with what Lana was saying, when you first get into the game, it's like, okay, it looks cool, but then when you actually take in the entire scene, you look at, there's depth of field, there's wind, the trees are swaying. It's just like it's. I think it's they hit the nail on the head, to be honest.
Mhm.
Like with everything about this, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gorgeous.
it's interesting. It's like they decided to go wide in terms of everything they wanted to do with the game. Um, but they didn't overreach their scope for any one aspect, right? They didn't, like you said, Lana, they didn't bite off more than they could chew in terms of like what they were trying to accomplish. And that's allowed them to really well execute every single part of the game. I think everything just kind of feels like it isn't like the building system isn't trying to be the craziest builder in the world, but it's well done. And the combat isn't trying to be Dark Souls, but it's good. It feels like it's tight and it works and it feels right. And so it's like the art style as well sort of, I think, personifies that. And I had a
Mhm.
similar experience, right? Like I love Minecraft. Minecraft's a great game, and I played a ton of that. And I don't think about the graphics being like 16-bit. Like, who cares? There's some
Mhm.
people that run with like texture packs that make it like 256, and I actually find it like
Appealing.
less appealing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's less charming. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, like
not even just like, oh, look at it. It's kind of like low res in a charming way. It's just like visually, I think it looks better because it's like your brain, when things try to approach more and more to realism, it doesn't always make them better, right? Like,
they just get right into the heart of that uncanny valley, and it makes it
Hmm.
actually more uncomfortable to be a part of rather than this, which is like has enough like realistic proportions to your characters that you can maybe associate with it more. Like as a person, you're like, oh, that's me. Like you can make yourself as a Viking and still feel like it's yourself as a Viking without having to be like, well, these freckles look kind of off.
so that wraps it up for Cabbages and Kings. Thanks for listening, everybody. Had a great time talking about Valheim. I'm happy to have Kevin and Lana here to talk about games and things. Really interesting time and game in the right place, right time, and I think a lot of us were just really excited about kind of exploring this universe. So um, that's it. Thank you for joining me, everybody. We'll see you all next time. Peace.
Goodbye.
Bye.